So, starting at the beginning, can anyone become a speaker?
Yes, I believe anybody can be a speaker. Many people look at public speaking or presenting as being an art. So something that maybe people just have a flair for and that they're natural at it. But actually, I believe it's more of a science. It's just like learning any other new skill. I remember when I first learned to drive a car, getting in behind the wheel and thinking there were so many different things I needed to think about. And as you go through your lessons, pass your tests, and over the years, I don't really need to think. And I believe it's the same with presenting. If you can look at all these different elements and tips and techniques of what makes a good presentation, pull them all together, practice them, get more experience, take the opportunity to do it, then over time it becomes something that's a lot easier to be able to do and something that you can feel really confident in.
This is a show about communication, about getting your message across, about connecting with people, whether you're in a two-person client meeting or on stage pitching to 1,000 investors. The scale of it doesn't matter. The aims are the same. I'm Colin Gray, and I'm a presenter, a speaker, a podcaster. So words are my bread and butter, and I'm always fascinated by how to better connect with people. That's how to motivate, how to persuade, how to inspire. On this series, I'll be learning exactly that from Maryanne Johnston, the woman you just heard, and one of the top communication coaches around. When I first met Maryanne, she was in her element, coaching a group of up-and-coming entrepreneurs on how to pitch their business. These were people who'd shown a whole lot of talent in their particular areas, but who hadn't necessarily learned how to talk about it yet. Some were loud, some were quiet, some were fearless, and some were nervous. But we all had something to say, and we had to say it in so many different ways, so many different places. That was something that really caught my imagination, and it made me realise that my presentation skills applied to far more than just behind the microphone.
I tend to use the word presentation in quite a loose sense. I think often the word presentation makes people think about a formal setting with a large audience, possibly with some slides in the background. But whilst that's at one end of the spectrum, I see presentations as being, pitches to investors, which might be across a boardroom table. It could be a pitch at an event where you have a time constraint and then Q&A to follow, or it could be your team within your firm going out to pitch to a client to win new business. And there might only be 3 of you on one side of the table and 3 or 4 of them on the other side. And likewise, it could even be when you're going to have a catch-up with a client, having a coffee in a cafe in the centre of town. You're still making a presentation to them, but in a more two-way sense and a less formal sense, but you're still making a presentation to them.
Is that what you mean by being an agile speaker, then? Making it work anywhere you are?
Exactly. I think it's about gaining the skills, learning those skills, practicing the skills through the delivery and preparation in handling the questions and how you prepare your thoughts and structure your thoughts, and being able to take those skills into any different situation and be able to adapt, be able to react to what's going on.
Yeah. Is that even if you're uncomfortable, still being able to deliver?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's the average person out there is terrified by speaking and getting up in front of a group. So I can see how it applies to them. But somebody who's already confident 20 years into their speaking career, does this still apply to them?
Yes, I think so. I think it's, again, like any skill or any sport, there will be certain things, certain people who will get far more from the advice than others. But I've worked with plenty of people over the years who have gone away thinking that they weren't going to learn much and have gone away saying, gosh, you can teach an old dog new tricks. So I do think it applies to everybody across the board, and the people with more experience Perhaps what it is that if they are already pretty good and pretty confident, it's just that actually this maybe the techniques I talk about clarify their thinking in understanding why they're doing well some days and why there are other days where maybe something went a little bit wrong. So it helps them to understand the science of what it is that they're doing well.
So as people listen through this series, what are they going to get from it?
Well, there are two goals that I feel we should all be consistently achieving in every meeting, every pitch, every presentation. Number one is that they need to get their message across in a way that their listeners understand, identify, remember those messages. And the second goal is that you've got to get your personality across in a professional sense. So your credibility, your professional competence. And those two things are important because on the one hand, your listeners listening to you, making an objective assessment of what you're saying. So they're just comparing it to what they already know. But they're also sitting there and they're judging you. They're having thoughts about you when you're speaking. And those thoughts and judgments will colour the listener's objective assessment of what you said. So they are thinking things like, do I trust you? Do I want to do business with you? Can I approach you? Do I like you? When we're under pressure, those two goals can go flying out the window and things can start to go wrong. So what I really want to do here is to be able to give some tips and techniques in how to be comfortable in what can be a really uncomfortable situation.
On the next episode, we're going to jump right into delivery. How do you deliver something that makes a difference? From the message you're putting across, to pace, to eye contact, to managing that adrenaline when those nerves do kick in. Maryanne has a big collection of really actionable tactics, that science of presenting that she talked about, and that you can put to work today to improve your own communication. If you want to find out more, pop over to maryannejohnston.co.uk. Otherwise, we'll see you here for the next episode.